Hey guys, welcome on back to another video. Today we are looking at the 10 best 10 best states in America for 2019. Kind of got there, but trying to work out the face cam, but I'll do that after the video.
America sure is a nation of hot and cold. Some people like guns, some hate them. Some people work hard, and many of us don't want to work at all. Some people love our president, and some think he's a real jerk. It's never a dull day in America. Within the USA, there's some really lousy places to live, and some super great places to live. Even in some large cities, there's a safe side of town and a rough side of town. In our last video, we talked about the worst places you could live in America. Unfortunately, New Mexico came in as a winner, and undoubtedly, the residents who live there took it really rough. In this video, we're going to tell you where the best states to live are. And I'm sure many of you are going to say, my state wasn't mentioned, but I love where I live. To that, I would say, great, good for you. Just like the video so we can get more views, would you? Now, we can make a pretty good guess as to which states we say are the best. They're the places where crime is lower, there's better jobs, and where the best Mexican food is. So grab a taco and turn up the volume as we visit America's best states to live. As we come in for our first landing, we look out the window at the awesome state of Iowa, where it's early morning. Here in Iowa, that means breakfast at one of many awesome diners where Iowans love to gather and eat with one another. That's the type of place Iowa is. Good-natured, hard-working Americans, most of them anyways. The numbers show it. Iowa has the nation's lowest unemployment rate at less than 3%. That means if you don't have a job in Iowa, it's because you don't want a job,
weird.
not because there aren't things for people to do for work. Iowa's economy's been pretty steady. One leading news site said Iowa has the nation's 10th best economy. Iowa also ranked first in the country for cost of doing business, which means low taxes and lower than average utility costs. Other factors that make Iowa super chill, it's relatively affordable, and it ranks outside the top 10 for cost of living. What's not so picture perfect for Iowa? It ranks 16th in terms of safety, which isn't great, but not amazing either. What are they stealing out there for? Iowa also ranks as one of our nation's most boring states too. Iowa is all mom jeans and flip phones. Actually, some of the cooler Iowa women wear ripped mom jeans. It's a little boring, but overall, Iowa's pretty great. We spent a day here. We hardly saw any bums, and we were welcomed over for dinner, where we were told God loves us over.
This is very weird. I don't want to watch this anymore, but
Let's set the plane down there. It's Rhode Island, our 9th best state to live in America. It's lunchtime, so maybe we should have some of Rhode Island's famous lobster. Now, here in Rhode Island, the statistics are pretty solid. This is the 9th safest state you can live in based on violent and property crimes per capita. It's also 9th in terms of residents who have medical coverage, and 13th in terms of secondary education. What's also interesting about Rhode Island is it's the second most densely populated state in America. Some might say that's bad. They want wide open spaces. However, Rhode Island's commute times are about average. Nothing like in nearby New York and New Jersey.
Far from Connecticut.
That means while there's people all over the place here, it's not overly crowded. Howdy, fellow Rhode Islander. I guess the only bad part about living here would be the amount of gossip in town. You can bet if you get a DUI, a lot of people will find out about it.
Did you know Rhode Island has more donuts per person than any other state?
That's right, Mappy. I had heard that before. There's donut shops everywhere here. Sounds like you can get practically any type of donut on your short drive to work each day. So Rhode Island has a lot to boast about. On this trip, we ate some awesome clam cakes, gossiped about everyone in town, and met some pretty smart people. Bye, Rhode Island.
I would just...
We don't even have to fly.
I would just take the...
Subaru and head west for a few hours until we
I would just take the donuts.
When New York City was a complete dump?
Just take the glazed donuts.
And crack everywhere. Then Mayor Giuliani came in and cleaned the place up. Now, New York is ranked the 12th safest state in the nation. And New York City is totally safe, clean, and fun again. Now, that's not all that's great about the state of New York. It ranks 8th highest for income levels, so there's a lot of opportunities for growing your career and or opening new businesses. And New Yorkers are a smart bunch, ranking 10th in the nation on education metrics annually. However, one thing
it's always showing girls.
As a whole, New York ranks second
Like
to
if you
last
agree.
for affordability. A lot of
And
that is because it costs like $5 jillion to rent an apartment
and
downtown.
subscribe.
Much of New York, though, is wide open
Make
spaces.
sure to
This is
subscribe
what they
and hit
call
the bell so
upstate.
you never miss
Did
another
you know New York
video.
was voted as the best state for bagels? However, New York also has the highest number of food poisoning cases in the nation. As we depart New York, we're pretty pleased. We walked away with some cool trinkets, ate some amazing food, and didn't even get sick. Our next flight leaves out of JFK, because who the hell flies out of LaGuardia, as we begin a short trip to the Midwest. Today, we stop off in Minnesota, where luckily, it's winter. Yes, sure, the weather here can be a real nightmare. Minnesota winters were actually voted as the worst in America. There's long stretches in Minnesota when you're trapped at home. Snow day, anyone? But what makes this huge expanse of a state so great? First of all, Midwest values, pal. Minnesota has a stereotype across America as being a place where people are nice. Minnesota nice, they say. They're actually not really that nice. They're just being pleasant and polite to each other. But we'll take fake nice over mean any day. Overall in Minnesota, people work pretty hard and have their
What is?
the unemployment rate's the fifth lowest in America, and for darn good reason. There's pride in work in Minnesota, at least outside of North Minneapolis. Minnesota has the nation's fourth lowest poverty level. And did you know Minnesotans have the best
Oh, I
credit
like
of
that.
all Americans? Minnesota thinks it should be first in America. That's a little aggressive, Minnesota. You're pretty cool, but not that cool. As we depart Minnesota, we're reminded that back home where we live, it's much warmer. But at least we got to try some ice fishing, great coffee, and didn't even hit a deer on our way to the airport. We'll be back to the Midwest again. We're taking a red eye from Minnesota to our next best state to live, Vermont. People in Vermont are like, stop saying we're awesome. We don't want any more people moving here. Sorry, Vermont, it's just that you're so likable. Vermont's home to the hippie libertarians who drive Subarus and eat grass. But Vermont hippies aren't the lazy, unproductive types you might think. Only 3 other states outwork Vermonters, and they earn above average salaries in the state too. Where's the second safest state in America? Vermont is. The only other safer place to live in America is right next door in New Hampshire. There were only 10 murders in Vermont in all of last year. In Chicago, that many people got shot at one party.
Did you know Vermont has the least number of fast food restaurants?
Interesting point, but for many Americans, I'm sure they would think that was a bad thing. Vermont also ranks as the 3rd best place for health insurance too, which means people here are healthy as a clam stuck in the mud. Now, some people like diversity, but you won't find that here. It's practically all white people in Vermont. That means the culture here is very one-sided. Goodbye, Vermont. We'll miss you. We're gonna have a good next flight as we drink the syrup and eat the ice cream we got there. Can I get a burrito over here? Somebody, please? We're coming in for a landing back in the Midwest again, this time in the state of Wisconsin, home of cheese and cheese. They're certainly not the healthiest bunch.
Wisconsin.
However, there's a lot going on in Wisconsin these days.
Wisconsin
It's here.
is
Of the nation's best cities to raise kids, about 1 in 3 are here in the beer state.
The fun comes naturally. Great fun for the family. There's so much to do, so much to see. Day and night is the place to be. Wisconsin.
How can you not think Wisconsin is the best state after watching that? It's just across the board generally at least above average in every category we looked at. It's pretty safe there.
Wisconsin is the worst
Quality
state
of
I
life, not bad. Things to do,
think
sort of
so.
boring, but not too bad. Education,
In my
pretty
mind.
good. If Wisconsin was a sports team, I guess they'd be in the playoffs every year. Most people would say racial equality is a good thing. However, not here. In Wisconsin, blacks are 3 times more likely to be out.
Sorry, guys.
Times more likely to be locked up.
Want to say, you know, can we all get along?
That was Rodney King.
I
Everybody.
just want to
It's a
skip
pretty
it.
state.
Skip some of it.
Connecticut.
We'll bring you here in the very nicest way.
Man, are all the women in Hawaii sexy hula girls? Oh, darn. There's lots of things that make Hawaii a great state. Hawaii got an A+ by CN. Corning one? All right, it's supper time here in Nebraska, so we're likely going to be sitting down with Ma and Pa, enjoying a meal of corn, creamed corn, corn pudding, corn gravy, corn jello, corn flakes, and probably a big old steak. That's what Nebraska people eat, right? Anyway, despite the fact that I haven't actually been in Nebraska, I can say that when I read about it for 5 minutes and measured all the stats, I'd give Nebraska a big fat A. Here's why. Commute times are basically nothing. Practically everyone has a job here. People are nice and fat and always seem like they're in a good mood.